What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to the channel. This week I've got a really interesting video. I'm going to be breaking down my cinematography work in the short film Foods Here. This was a 48-hour film challenge, so we had from Friday night at 7 p.m. to Sunday night at 7 p.m. to finish the project. If you don't know about 48-hour film fests, how they work is you get a prompt or certain stipulations at the beginning of it. You have to write the whole script, shoot it, and edit it within 48 hours. So let me share how this went. I met this director named Christopher Hughes earlier this year after putting out some YouTube videos that he saw. We met up, had coffee, and we were gonna work on a documentary that ended up not happening. So this was the first time I'm working with him, but I've known him for a good 8 or 9 months. He hit me up, said that he wanted to try out this contest and wanted me to DP it and put together a small crew, and we were off to the races. He had a general idea for the short. It had to be in a horror genre, but then he obviously didn't have the stipulations until the night of. So leading up to it, we were planning different equipment. I had a gaffer, key grip, AC, PA, makeup, producer / AD, and then the director and I. I knew I would be shooting on my red Ranger Monstro, but as far as the lenses go, we had a bunch of different budget options, but he's like, I want to splurge, get something a little bit nicer. And I looked at local rental houses and went with Horizon Cineglass, who I've showcased on this channel before. Really cool boutique rental house with a lot of different glass, and the other stipulation was cover full frame VistaVision. So I ended up going with a set of Cooke Panchro Classics full frame. These lenses are beautiful and wanted a little bit of a vintage look while still remaining modern. And looking through the different full frame options they had, I could have went with other options, but I felt like these were the best choice. Other than the Red Ranger Monstro and the Cooke full frame Panchros, I just brought a lot of my own equipment, such as the Aperture 600D, Aperture Nova 300C, my Teradek and Small HD, and Tilta Nucleus for my friend Alex Lorum, who was pulling focus for me. I'll definitely put some behind the scenes in here, but let's go into the cinematography breakdown. All right, the film opens with a wide of the house, but that generally didn't have much to talk about. So I'm gonna start here with this shot along the car. We have a 600D up here hitting kind of all of this area in the background and just a general lift of the space. Over here, we were gonna use a light to light the side of the car, but it didn't end up looking the way I wanted, and there were these lights that are lighting the tree, as you can see right here. These are normal lights that were at this house. The location was amazing, like a multi-million-dollar house, so we had an awesome location. That's the first thing that plays into the cinematography a lot. But there were these lights that were uplighting the tree, and I just put like a 4x4 bounce board to just bring up the level on the side of the car. On the other side of the car, we did have a quasar tube that was set to tungsten. That was to illuminate the inside of the car when he opens the door and he walks over here. This is the headlights hitting his pants. So that was obviously something I needed to expose for. And that's about it for that shot. Here, again, we have the headlights hitting down here and that light bouncing to create this little edge on his face. Over here, we did have, I think, 2 quasar tubes pushing through a 6x6 silk to soften those and spread it around his face. And then that 600D is doing a little bit back here behind him, but it wasn't quite enough. So we ended up adding a Nanlite Pavo tube to just light up this background. Here's another shot of that. And then he walks over to the woods And over here, I wanted this kind of edges on the side of his face. And I wanted it to be tungsten, like it's coming from the tungsten lights that are all around the house. So we ended up putting a 2x2 light mat set to tungsten, going through that 6x6 silk to illuminate this side of his face. And then we had a quasar tube bare over here, kind of creating that edge. And the same for this. He turns around and there's the guy right there. So I wanted that edge on the side of his face. That was the main thing I was looking for, and a shadow in the middle. For the side of his face and illuminating his back, there was that 600D that we rolled over, and it was really far over here, kind of shooting into the woods. So the reverse of these, it would be kind of filling in all the space with night light, daylight, and then colored a little bit more blue in post. Here, this was a really interesting setup, and one of the bigger ones, along with the first shot that we accomplished at night, because basically, like I said, we got the stipulations at 7 p.m. Our stipulations were, one of the characters had to be named Madonna. One of the stipulations was you had to use the word falling, and then the other one was a Michael Myers theme. So we knew we needed a guy in a mask chasing someone with a knife. And so after he turns around and sees him, he's running into the woods. So what we have is a 600D back here with a Fresnel pretty high up, hitting all down this, creating a nice backlight. We had another light that was kind of just illuminating all the trees back there. And then the other main light was a light mat on a menace arm, 20-foot menace arm that was placed over here. And that's just creating a lot of soft light to fill in this space, which is what's lighting them, because now they're way far away from the 600D. So the light mat is what's filling in all this space for this shot. And I really like how that turned out. It's just one shot that's dollying right to left with them, and it pans and tilts down to reveal him crawling back and the assailant coming closer and closer. It hard cuts to this on the front doorstep, and her food has been dropped off. There's a quasar tube directly above the food, and inside we have a 2K tungsten, as if it's this chandelier that's lighting it to create a little more shape. And then the quasar is set more to like 6,000 Kelvin to bring a little bit more blue on the outside of the house. In here, there is that 2K with the 6x6 kind of keying, and then we set the levels of everything to these background practicals. Outside the window, we have that light mat shooting through an 8x8 diffusion covering up the windows. And then over here on this shot, we have a quasar tube to bring about that shape on her face. This is one of my favorite shots from the film. We actually had a nova outside these windows, and we were hazing it up a bit, and then we have quasar tubes over here lighting it tungsten, and then there's a strip of lights, these lights that you see right here. All of the practicals were left on and not dimmed. Just before filming, I was like, I really want nice rays with the haze, and we ended up switching out the Nova for a Jolico to get a lot more punch and get these rays going through the haze. And I just love how it turned out. We had a Dana dolly that we flipped upside down and laid on the table so that I could be pushing straight towards him, really low to the table, and all of this foreground elements are going out of the shot. And then we go to this, where I believe we switched back to the Nova to just bring about more of a soft light. And the 600D is way over here, angled it to kind of illuminate this glass mural. And then the quasar tubes over here is illuminating him. Here we are again. This is basically the same setup as the close-up on her. We have outside the window that light mat that we removed the diffusion from the window, and the 600D is still playing on this mural back here, and then we're keying him from those tungsten quasars over here through a 6x6, filling in this side of his face. The other thing I loved about this shot is as he walks closer to the bar, there are these hanging pendant lights that are just above the bar, and they illuminate his face at different times. So as he walks over here, it's like he goes into light, out of light, into light, and I just love how that played out. So we left all the practicals on. For this, we ended up moving that Joker 800 Jolico over here, shooting in this window. That's what's creating this nice moonlight, and she's still being illuminated by those quasars shooting through that 6x6 over here out of frame, and she takes off running. So we did like kind of a whip pan with her to create some energy. Here's that amazing chandelier that I was talking about. It was on a dimmer, luckily, so we just dimmed it down to the right brightness. We put these two lamps on dimmers, and outside I think we had a 600 or something just to illuminate the car and everything like we had already shot earlier, because she's gonna open that door and we see outside like this. So again, this is the 600 kind of coming from camera right, and this is inside. It's just the car light, and it happened to be the right brightness. This next shot is a really fun one, and I'm really happy how it turned out, because we didn't have a crane or any way of getting a light up super high. I would have liked to kind of highlight the top of this house and the trees back here, and to edge that out and have the moon kind of coming from up there. But we couldn't do that. So then the only way we could light was from the ground, and I just felt like it's gonna look too flat or boring. So what I ended up doing was, I was like, well, what if we put the light over here behind one of those trees, and we just kind of paint with shadows on the walls over here, and just kind of have all these speckling. So as he's walking towards camera, it's like speckles of light is just falling on him, and I thought that would look super ominous. And we're kind of dollying back to the left, as if she's watching him walk closer and closer to her as she's running back into the house. I believe that was just this 600D. We kind of just experimented with it, put it in different places behind the tree, and just got the perfect speckling that I liked. This shot is mainly the car light above, and then I put a aperture MC back here set to like 6,000 Kelvin to bring a little illuminance in the back and a little bit of edge on his hair. But other than that, it's mainly just the car light. Here we have a quasar tube armed out above the camera off of a C-stand, and it's set to very warm, I think like a 2,000 Kelvin, to mimic that chandelier that's above. But if we use that chandelier, it was so flat when I looked at it. And then I believe we had another light outside, just creating a little ambience in these windows. I wanted to get the light as far back so that it's as close to a far key as we could get, but it's still very top lighty, and I'm really happy with how that looks. This was Probably the hardest and most challenging and fun shots in the film. This is a single shot of him walking up and landing in this position. So he's just walking and the camera's tilting up slowly. And how we lit this, because these windows are like 30 feet tall, we used our tallest stand that we have, which I believe was like a Mambo, and we put the 600D out there. Initially, we had like a couple other lights playing, but it was always creating a bunch of shadows and shafts of light on the ceiling, and I didn't like seeing all that. So I was like, we have to get the light up above these windows in order to create something that's believable for moonlight. And then over here, we do have that 2K tungsten unit shooting through a 6x6 to kind of bring in this fill over on this side. But I definitely wanted all this to be completely blacked out behind him. And then for him, obviously the chandelier is doing a lot. And then when he gets close, I had my gaffer, Sean Nielsen, who did a great job on this short. He was Hollywooding an MC just out of frame to illuminate his face a little bit uplit, because by the time he gets here, you can already tell with this shot, he would be almost silhouetted by that massive chandelier that's really far behind him now. So we brought in a little MC and lit his face with that. This is all natural, but it's a beautiful scene that we shot in the early morning, right before sunrise, and it's a single tilt up to reveal him eating the food after he's slashed her throat. Yeah, that's the cinematography breakdown of Foods Here. Not too much lighting, mainly my two lights, and then the tungsten lights along with that light mat and the quasars. You can get away with a lot with a little. It was a great experience working on this 48-hour film project. Basically, we shot the 2 nights along with the 1 morning, and then edited during the day after waking up, sleeping a couple hours. And this film actually won at that contest, and I won Best Cinematography at the contest. It was a really fun project. I hope to work with Wintergreen Films. Hope you liked this video. If you did, like, subscribe, share it with somebody, and see you on the next one.
Hi, you've reached Madonna. Leave a message and I'll call you back as soon as I can. Thanks. Bye.
Hey Madonna, this is Josh, your Dine and Dash driver. Got your food here. I have no idea where to put it. So yeah, I'm here. Hello?
forgot the cutlery, didn't they? Hello? No answer. I think I'm falling for you.